All right, we're here. We're live. This is the Big East Club podcast. I'm Chris Novak, joined alongside Rob O'Neill here, your managers of Big East Coast Bias. And today, after a little bit of a brief layoff, we're going to be talking about the Seton Hall Pirates. But first, before we do that, as we often do, we'll dig into some general Big East news. Earlier today, it was announced that Villanova will be playing Gonzaga in the 2017 Jimmy V Classic at Madison Square Garden, as well as UConn and Syracuse, two former Big East teams, will be playing one another in another game that's supposed to be taking place with that. And noteworthy is that Nova and Gonzaga have never played each other before. So that should provide some entertainment, to say the least.
Yeah, and I know you kind of skipped over it, but we do have a guest at the beginning.
Yes.
Sean's here, talking about Seton Hall with us.
What's going on, guys?
Not too much. In my defense, we don't usually bring in guests until a little bit later in the show. So.
Yeah, we changed it up a little bit today.
Yeah.
But that was really a big piece of Big East related news. Aside from smaller stuff like Ethan Savage has pneumonia, but he's expected to be back before the actual games start. So, Josh Hart was an AP All-American. But, yeah, I mean, just some last-minute stuff getting in there.
Yeah.
Before the season gets going. Baseball season is over now. I don't know if you guys saw that last night. But yeah, so really we can jump right in to Seton Hall. Chris, if you want to take the lead on that real quick here.
Yeah, sure. So Seton Hall had one of its most successful seasons in recent memory. A year ago, they went 25-9, and won the Big East Conference tournament for the first time in, I believe it was 23 years. Last time they won was 1993. And they made the NCAA tournament for the first time in a decade, not since the 2006 Pirates had the program made the NCAA tournament. Disappointingly lost to aforementioned Gonzaga. But all in all, I think the season was a great success. They finished third in the Big East standings behind Villanova and Xavier, led by the likes of Isaiah Whitehead, who is now, of course, playing for his hometown Brooklyn Nets in the NBA, along with several other role players who will be back for this year. So, Sean, you're our Seton Hall ace. If you want to hem off of my thoughts on the Pirates from last year, you have the floor to do so.
Yeah, so Isaiah Whitehead being gone is obviously one of the big stories. And it's going to be interesting to see who steps in. It's probably going to be a collective effort. It's tough to replace a guy of his caliber, a guy, in my opinion, that should have been the Big East Player of the Year last season. He had such a great second half of the regular season, and obviously in the Big East tournament. Performances that, people on campus here will certainly remember for a very long time. So to replace that, you're looking to guys like Kadeem Carrington, who stepped up in the Big East tournament last season, hoping that Angel Delgado can continue to expand his offensive game as well. We know how great of a rebounder he is. He's the best rebounder in the conference. I think there's no question there. Can he expand his offensive game a little bit, develop a 15-foot jumper, and kind of expand a little bit? He's starting to really work on his passing as well. I think that's going to be extremely important. And can they incorporate these younger guys? I just talked with Miles Powell today. He's really excited about joining this group. He's been here since June working with these guys. I mean, the scouting report on him is that he's the best shooter from last year's high school class. And Seton Hall was not a great three-point shooting team last season. You lose Isaiah Whitehead, who was a great three-point shooter on his own, and you're hoping he's a guy that can possibly make up for that as well. And then obviously the X factor is Desi Rodriguez, a guy that's really starting to expand his offensive game as well, guys. Shooting the three-point shot a lot more efficiently last season, and he's really starting to get he's solid driving to the basket. We know how great of a dunker and how athletic he is as well. So this is a great core coming back, along with Ishmael Sonogo, who's one of the best defensive players in the conference as well. So the core is there. can they continue to develop with these younger guys who are showing a lot of promise so far? They could certainly challenge again for the Big East championship.
And you had mentioned Desi, who's one of my favorite players on this Seton Hall team right now. He took big leaps in efficiency. In his freshman year, his effective field goal percentage and true shooting percentage was only 45 and 49% respectively. Last year, they took jumps up to 55.7 and 58.5% respectively. Do you think that that's indicative of success, or is that just maybe a flash in the pan, or should we expect even better numbers for his junior year?
I will say part of it has to do with Isaiah Whitehead. We know how great of a passer he is, and they have a great connection with each other from Lincoln High School. And these guys have played with each other for 6 years. So now that he's gone, it's going to be interesting to see if him and Kadeen can kind of develop that similar connection. Another guy that could certainly help with that is Madison Jones, the transfer from Wake Forest. He's been a guy that a lot of people like as far as handling the basketball. Possibly could be a guy that starts at the point at the start of the season. Don't be surprised if he possibly gets some big minutes early on at the point, because Kadeen Carrington's really a natural two guard. He's a great slasher. That's where he likes to thrive. So as far as the efficiency is concerned, I think it's only going to go up for Desi Rodriguez. I mean, Desi is really improving his offensive game year to year. It seems like Coach Willard is picking one part of his offensive game. Last year was three-point shooting. Not sure yet what it's going to be this year, but he's going to continue to get better, and I wouldn't be surprised if he challenged for one of those all Big East team spots this year. He's been working extremely hard, and we obviously know he's a freak athlete, so he's going to be, at the very least, worth the price of admission.
I definitely agree with you there. In case you're just joining us here, this is the Big East Coast podcast. We are joined by one of our Big East writers, Sean. Last year, Seton Hall was helped by the likes of Whitehead and also Derek Gordon, who provided a good defensive presence for them. I know you had mentioned transfer Madison Jones, but is there anyone on this team right now that isn't maybe highly thought of right now that can make a leap like Gordon did into the spotlight?
Yeah, I think if someone's going to make an impact like that, it's probably going to be Madison Jones. But Aaron Gordon's a guy that not a lot of people are talking about as well. Another recruit who's really showing a lot of signs of promise as well. Another guy, though, that's definitely worth pointing out is Miles Carter, a guy that you kind of saw a little bit in the Big East tournament, had a block in the Big East quarterfinal against Creighton and showed how athletic he could be. He's an energy guy that can just come off the bench, and he's got a similar build to Angel Delgado. So they're thinking maybe he could be that next big man that Seton Hall can really use to their advantage on the defensive side, rebounding the basketball, blocking shots along with Ish, but also possibly on the offensive game if we can develop that. I think he takes a huge step this year, but a guy that Coach Willard has really liked so far is Michael Enzi, guys. He's a guy that has really started to rebound the basketball consistently, really good defensively as well. People forget about that. Him and Ish, when they played on the floor, it's really tough for guards to get inside and make things happen. Michael Enzi is a guy that's going to take a huge step forward. I'm not sure about offensively, but he's just getting better and better defensively. Coach Willard stresses defense to these guys all the time. Michael Enzi might be the most improved player in the conference this season.
And I'm noticing that you're mentioning a good deal of amount of players that Seton Hall has at their disposal this year. And I remember talking to Willard back at Big East Media Day about how he expects them to go pretty deep into the bench. How deep do you see them going into their bench? Because they certainly have a lot more at their disposal this year as opposed to last year.
Yeah, Chris, it's a great point. They could early on. I mean, the schedule is tough, especially after Fairleigh Dickinson and Central Connecticut. It really starts to pick up immediately in non-conference play. So maybe those first two games, you see them go maybe 10 or 11 deep. And you're seeing another guy I haven't even mentioned on the bench, another solid three-point shooter that's hoping to develop for this season as well. If those guys play well early, it could end up being a good problem to have, and it would be interesting to see who Coach Willard decides to start. But I think in the end, if Madison Jones is able to really show that he's a stable presence at the point guard, he's going to probably hold him down, and then you're going to have to see which guys emerge off the bench. I feel like Miles Carter, Michael Enzi are guys you're going to see a lot from, especially if guys like Delgado get into foul trouble. I mean, Coach Willard has a lot of talented big men at his disposal that he can go to on the bench if a guy like Desi gets into foul trouble, if a guy like Delgado gets into foul trouble. He's got an embarrassment of riches in the backcourt, in the front court. So that's going to be a lot of fun to see what he toys. He really toy around with the lineup. And then when they start to play Florida and Gonzaga, before those things happen, after that Orlando trip, I start to see him go limited a little bit. But, with the Big East season, he can play a lot of guys. You guys know how a Big East season can really break down on you. And that's where having great guys on the bench like those guys can be really, really important to Seton Hall getting back to the heights that they reached last season. So if they play 10, 11, or 12 deep, maybe not 12, but there's plenty of guys that are looking to take big steps next season on the team. And when Javon Thomas becomes eligible as well, guys, that's another guy that Coach Willard's going to have to see whether or not he's going to fit him in. Where's Madison Jones at that point? Has Gideon Carrington emerged as a guy that could possibly play at the point? Coach Willard, it's a good problem to have. He's got a lot of options and a lot of good options.
Javon Thomas, of course, coming to Seton Hall from Kansas State, like Marcus Foster is going to Creighton after being in Manhattan, Kansas for a little bit. Rob, if you want to take the reins here after I've done a little bit of talking here myself. So.
Yeah, and I think a player that we haven't necessarily touched on here yet, at least at length, would be Angel Delgado. And, Sean, I think I really want to get your thoughts because me and Chris have talked about this before. Is there any concern that he kind of put up the exact same numbers last year as he did his freshman year? There wasn't a ton of progression. I mean, they were still good. He's still right around, 9 and 10, 9 and 9. But, should everyone expect a little bit more this year?
I don't know if concern's the right word. Like you said, he's almost averaging a double-double, these last couple of years. And the thing about his numbers last season, guys were paying a lot of attention to him, especially early in non-conference play, double teams, triple teams. And there were times where Angel didn't know what to do. He had to adjust to a thing like that because last season they didn't know how good he was going to be. He really worked. He won the Big East Rookie of the Year that year. So I think coming into this year, you're going to see him really start to expand his offensive game. I wouldn't be shocked if he actually gets to that 10-10 mark this year, guys. He's really, like I said before, bar none the best rebounder in the conference. I think we can all agree on that. I can't think of anybody else who rebounds as consistently. He can get 8 rebounds in his sleep. He's so good battling down low against all the other bigs in the conference. I wouldn't be concerned at all about Angel Delgado. He's playing extremely well. He's continued to work with the Dominican Republic national team, so he's getting work during the offseason. Another guy that's been working really hard. The numbers, because they're the same, 9.8 rebounds in college is impressive. So I wouldn't be too worried about that. I think Angel Delgado is a guy, in my opinion, that could possibly have an outside shot. I know big men are kind of they don't do well when it comes to Big East Player of the Year, or Player of the Years in general. But he certainly, I think, has an outside shot to challenge for Big East Player of the Year if he has the caliber of season that we've seen from him in his freshman and sophomore years.
Okay. No,
I'm looking at his splits here. He definitely indicate what you said. He had a little bit of difficulty in non-conference. Difficulty, he had field goal percentage or 2-point percentage of 54.5 and 53.1 in November and December, but then in January and February he has marks of 60.4 and then 65% in February. So he definitely progressed much better as the season wore on, for sure.
Figured it out. Yeah, he was able to – Coach Willard kind of worked with him and their assistant coaches. They really worked with him on what you're going to do when a lot of attention is paid towards you in the game. Isaiah White had to adjust to it. Kadeen's going to have to adjust to it this year. I think if I'm worried about a guy trying to progress, it might be Gideon Carrington, just because of the attention that's going to be paid to him now that Isaiah Whitehead is gone. So will he be able to continue to develop as an offensive player? I think he will. There's so many other pieces that he can rely on if he's not having a good scoring night. Carrington's a guy that's going to get a lot more attention than he's used to because he's going to be the main scoring option on a lot of possessions.
Yeah, and of course his 3-point percentage is a little lacking. It was at 33%, which was a leap from what he had as a freshman, only at 28.3%. So he's definitely going to be looked at to, get a little bit better on that end. But certainly his per 40 minute and per 100 possession marks indicate he's a good offensive player, and he's definitely going to get a a lot more opportunities with Whitehead out of the equation. So, yeah, I think, a lot of – I don't know if I necessarily use the word pressure, but there's going to be a lot of attention paid to Kadeem Carrington this year for sure.
No question, yeah.
Yeah. And, I don't think we got a Twitter question about it, Sean, so if you want to give us your starting five, at least for the first couple games, if you think it's going to change or whatever, go ahead.
Like I said, it's tough. I wouldn't be shocked if Madison Jones gets the start, but you could possibly see a lineup looking like I think what Coach Willard wants is Madison Jones, Kadeem Carrington, Desi Rodriguez, Angel Delgado, and Ishmael Sanogo. I think that's his goal, the three juniors, and then the transfer from Wake Forest. You may see Madison Jones, maybe not. It's against Fairleigh Dickinson, so maybe you will see it, right? But depending on how that works out, you may see Kadeem run some point, and the Pirates might be a little bit bigger. Or they might even use a guy like Miles Powell. I'm not sure if he'll start, but they might use him a lot, or maybe early in the game. Like I said, he's a great three-point shooter. He's super excited for that Fairleigh Dickinson game, and hope he's looking to get a lot of playing time. So we're going to see what happens there. But I think that's going to be the goal. You want Jones, Carrington, Desi, and then Angel and Ish down low. They're really good playing together. They really feed off each other well defensively. I think that's the goal for Kevin Willard, especially in the first half of the season. And then when Javon Thomas comes back, we'll see what they decide to do with Madison Jones, really takes the reins at point guard.
Okay.
All right. Yep, that works for me. I would figure the same here with what you said, Sean, so I don't really have any disagreements with that.
So now we could probably we talked about last year. We move into the schedule for this year, and it's pretty good.
It is maybe the best non-conference schedule that Seton Hall has scheduled in a long, long time. Maybe since the last time they made it to the NCAA tournament. Looking back, and they were playing the likes of Niagara and Kent State, a couple of years ago, and now two really, trips to play some quality opponents. You talk about the Orlando trip to Florida first, and then if they win that game, they're likely going to play Gonzaga in a rematch of the NCAA tournament loss if Gonzaga take care of business against Quinnipiac. And I think we can all agree that it's a good possibility that will happen. So if Seton Hall wins, they will play Gonzaga again, and they're going to have, Gonzaga, lost a lot of pieces, as we know, a couple of really good players to the NBA in Wilkes and Sabonis, but still could be a massive test for Seton Hall. So that's going to be really fun to see. And if they get to the final, a boatload of other quality teams would be waiting for them. So I think it'd be extremely impressive if they navigated their way through the Advocare Invitational down in Orlando. Then, and Coach Willard kind of added this late on into the schedule, is the Fox Sports Pearl Harbor Invitational in Honolulu. That was kind of a late addition to the schedule that wasn't initially planned upon. But, he wants the players to experience that incredible historical site. And they're going to be playing two NCAA tournament teams. As a matter of fact, two teams that played each other in the NCAA tournament last season in Hawaii and Cal. So, Hawaii there, huge home court advantage. And then you play a team in Cal that just got Marcus Lee, the transfer from Kentucky, a really, really good big man inside, really talented, a guy that's going to give Angel Delgado some issues, I think, down because of his size. Two really tough matchups there. And it's going to be, with the frequent flyer miles they're going to be picking up during the non-conference schedule, it's going to be interesting to see how they handle that. It's a really tough non-conference schedule. Then it starts to ease. You get games like Delaware, and then you finish up with Rutgers and things like that. It starts to ease down the stretch, and then, as we know, beginning of conference play at Creighton this year is always tough, but it's going to be even tougher now that Maurice Watson and those boys have a really, really solid team. Coach McDermott has them ranked in the AP poll at 22, if my memory is correct. So it's a tough schedule, and we're going to find out early how good Seton Hall is. That's for sure.
Yeah, and I think also Delgado will have some issue playing with, I believe Rab is still there, right?
No doubt about it, yeah. And he's a guy, I believe, that's in the All-American conversation. So, Cal's got a really good team. And guys, they lost their best player heading into that NCAA tournament loss against Hawaii. They could have made a bit of a run. So that's a really good Golden Bears team. Berkeley's got a great team, and Seton Hall's going to certainly be tested. And again, with all the mileage they're picking up, it's going to wear down on them, I think. And we'll see how they can handle that, especially with a younger team.
Yeah. Yeah, and then their Big East schedule actually it's not too bad. There's not a ton of bad stretches. I mean, they have a 3-game trip to Marquette, Providence, Villanova, but that's really their longest stretch of road games. And I mean, you got to figure you're probably not going to go to Villanova and pick up a win, even though it is possible. But Marquette and Providence on the road, those are winnable games.
I agree. They haven't beaten – Seton Hall has not beaten Villanova at the Pavilion, I believe. Actually, I think this game might actually be at Wells Fargo, but regardless, they haven't won a game at Villanova, I believe, in 23 years. So it would be a heck of a win if they're able to pull that off. And that'd be 2 days after you play Providence at the Dunk. So that's a really tough 2-day stretch, 3-day stretch. You got to play 2 really tough road games. I agree, certainly with Marquette. I'm not as high on them this year as others might be. I feel like Henry Ellenson was the glue to that team. He was so important. They do have other pieces, Hanif Cheatham, Tracy Carter. They're still really raw, I think, especially Tracy Carter. Those are guys that are solid, and I'm a believer in Steve Wojciechowski, don't get me wrong. That's a winnable game for Seton Hall. I mean, they just need to pound that ball down low with Delgado and get those guys down low into foul trouble without the Ellenson brothers and those guys, and Fisher's still there, but I feel like Angel Delgado can have his way with Fisher in that game and get that road trip off to a good start. Providence, like you guys said, is a winnable game. I think, no Dunn and no Bentel, huge losses, maybe the biggest in the conference during the offseason. Kyron Cartwright is still a really good player, and Coach Cooley told me at Media Day that he's going to be a guy he expects to almost triple his numbers offensively. And the Dunk is a really tough place to play. I mean, teams have gone in there and had streaks broken, and they're really solid. So Ed Cooley's a great coach. I think the Big East is loaded with great coaches. I think we can agree with that. But that's the toughest stretch. I mean, the other tough stretch, and luckily for Seton Hall, all the games are at home, is that late stretch in February where you got to play Creighton at home, then you got to play Nova at home, and then you got to play Xavier at home. But luckily, those are all at the Rock. So you're thinking Seton Hall's hopefully going to take care of business, probably try to win. Obviously, get 2 out of 3. I think that's a success against those 3 nationally ranked teams at this point. So, yeah, probably my 2 toughest stretches in the conference schedule. And we'll see. At that point, I feel like Seton Hall will have figured things out. We're going to probably figure out by February, I would think, the starting 5, the regular guys. And by that point, you're talking about the lineups. They should have 6 or 7, maybe 8 guys that Coach Willard's thinking, these are my guys. I'm going to roll with this crew, and we're going to go try and repeat as Big East champions.
Yeah. And I mean, do you think that they could make the NCAA tournament again?
Oh, without question. I think they can certainly do it. The talent is there. It's going to be. It always seems to come down to whether you can stay consistent and stay solid defensively during the Big East schedule. The Big East schedule is a grind, and that's what cost Seton Hall 2 years ago. They were not able. There was off the court issues, no question, but defensively they were not consistent when they lost all those games in a row and fell out of it, and fell all the way, I believe, to 8th in the conference that year. Last year you saw it with Derek Gordon and Isaiah Whitehead leading the charge, and you're hoping guys like Kadeem Carrington and Desi and Angel and Ish can continue that as juniors. And if they can get through the stretch, win 10, 11, maybe 12 Big East games again, which is possible, they'll certainly be in the mix to get back into the dance, guys, for the 2nd year in a row. And that's the key. That's what Coach Willard has – I just remember the quote I remember from Coach Willard about the defense that really stood out to me last year was, as long as you play good defense, you do whatever you want on the offensive end, especially when he was talking about Isaiah Whitehead. They can do whatever they want on the offensive end. We trust them to do that. Defensively, do your job. Make sure everybody is on the same page, and they're going to get back to where they were last season. That was with incredible success.
Yeah, I'm looking at their KenPom page right now, and they have 3 games here that I'm looking at. They could, because they're projected right now in Big East play to go 9-9. But two of the games that they have, when they host Xavier and when they go to Providence, are essential coin flips because they're at 49% and they're projected to lose by a point. If they win those two games, they go up to 11-7. And then if you even include the Marquette game, which I know you said that you think that they could win that game and it's winnable, then boom, they're 12-6.
Yeah.
They go 12-6 in the Big East. I mean, that gives them 20 wins as they're projected right now on here, not including the other tournament games in the Advocare Invitational. You're at like 22 or so before the Big East tournament. You scoop up a win or two, boom, you're in.
That's right about where they were last year, Chris. I mean,
Yeah.
12 wins and 6 losses was, I believe, that's how they finished the regular season. They finished third in the conference heading into the tournament. So if they can hit that number again, they will certainly be in the conversation. And if they're able to put together some good performances and beat the likes of Villanova and Xavier, get a split. And I know Seton Hall's played so well against Xavier, especially in recent years at the Rock. I mean, they've dominated those games. So they can take care of business, especially at home, and pick up a couple road games like they did last season. They'll be right back where they were a year ago, guys.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly really like this Seton Hall team. I think that they're a little under the radar right now. They certainly have. I know they lost Whitehead, and that obviously speaks for itself, but they've still got a lot of continuity from last year's team, and a lot of guys there are still a little bit understated by how good they are, I think.
I think Ishmael Sanogo is probably the guy that a lot of people forget about. And they forget how good he is defensively on the opposing team's best big men or small forward. He's a versatile 6'9", really a good shot blocker. I mean, he averaged 2 steals a game last year. I mean, incredible numbers for a defensive player that's his size. And he's extremely athletic as well. He's an option on the offensive end if guys can find him, and he's certainly working on his offensive game as well. He's a guy that people, for some reason, maybe because he's not as flashy on the offensive end, he's what makes that Seton Hall defense go, along with Gordon last year. It's going to be him again this year. He's going to be a big reason why Seton Hall have success. And people might not. They're going to look at Carrington and Delgado and how well they're playing and how animated they are on the court. It's just that silent assassin, especially defensively, that makes that motor go defensively.
Yeah. Hard really to disagree with any of that. So I think we could probably move into the questions now. I think we did a pretty solid job covering everything here. So Chris, if you want to pull those up.
Yep. Let's see. I know we got a few late questions today, and I think that was the entirety of it. If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, we didn't get too many questions this time, but that's okay.
It happens.
No worries.
All right, let's see here. I think I actually might have just gotten one. Now that I look at it, let me check our likes real quick.
I think there was one today and maybe one yesterday.
There were 2 today.
Okay.
And let me see if there were any yesterday. There was not. Okay. Let me just make sure.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. All right. So for the first question we have comes to us from Juan Ramos Mendez at JR Luis 15. Do people overestimate Whitehead's departure or underestimate 4 returning starters more?
Ooh, that's a good question. People kind of, believe it or not, and Isaiah's been around campus and things like that. He's come to a couple of men's basketball events, but people kind of moved on a little bit from him. I mean, they're seeing him in the NBA. I think they're more focused on that. He's getting some playing time with Brooklyn and things like that. So I think they're more focused on the fact that he's doing well in the NBA and that he's not here anymore, which is a little surprising to me. But I think people are forgetting that the 4 guys that are coming back are juniors. These are guys that are a year older and a year wiser. And maybe because Whitehead left, that's a reason they're kind of forgetting about that. But these are guys that have learned a lot in these last 2 years. The freshman year, they learned a ton, and they learned a lot from this championship run they're coming off this past season. So I feel like the experience they're bringing back could put them on a national stage once again. And people are, again, like I said, they're forgetting about Ish, and they're forgetting about some of the new guys that are coming in as well. But yeah, certainly the four. They're probably, some people probably still think they're sophomores or freshmen or whatever. But I would say that don't underestimate the experience. Don't underestimate the fact that they're going to be improving a lot from this past season to this upcoming season. We're 8 days away, and Coach Willard's already really excited about the group he's got.
All right, and the next question, because now we have 3 questions. Next question is from Joey Motz. Who will lead the Pirates in the major statistical categories this year? Points, assists, rebounds, steals, and blocks.
Oh, man. I would say steals and blocks, you got to give the edge to Ish. I think rebounds, it's Angel. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. I think he could average 10.5 rebounds per game. I don't think anybody else on the team is touching that. So points, I think you look to Kadeen. I think you look to Kadeen to average maybe 16, 17 if he can. Try to get towards Isaiah. I think Isaiah averaged, I believe, 18.5 points per game, something like that. And down the stretch, I think it was close to 20. So if he can if Kadeen can average 17 points per game, Seton Hall is going to be in great shape. I think he leads the way, though, in points per game. Assists. Assists, I think you're hoping it's Madison Jones. It could be Kadeen. He's not a pass-first guard for sure. He's a guy that wants to make things happen himself a lot and get the ball. And in that 2 role, that's what you want a 2 guard to do. So they're hoping it's going to be Madison Jones, I think. But there's certainly a few other guys, especially if Javon Thomas won't have enough time, I don't think, to make it up. But maybe a guy like Kadeen could do it. But I think they're hoping Madison Jones, 4 or 5 assists per game, I think is the goal, I would think. Point guard, try to get close again to those great numbers. You got to bring up what Isaiah did last year, but certainly he's a guy that could possibly match it in the assist category.
All right, and final question from Russ Steinberg. One more question. Give me hope for Central to beat Seton Hall on November 13th.
Oh, boy. Good luck with that. I would say that's Seton Hall's Prudential Center opener. Not too much hope there. I feel like Angel and Ish's size, Connecticut, from what I've researched, I've never really seen them play a huge game for obvious reasons, but size is not their friend for opponents, and I feel like Seton Hall's guards are just way too talented. Even on an off shooting night, I think they could win that game by double digits. So sorry, Russ, but I feel like Seton Hall's going to get off to a 2-0 start for sure.
All right, that'll do it for questions.
Yeah, so Sean, if you have any final thoughts or whatever, floor's yours, man.
Sweet, yeah. So Seton Hall this year, guys, as a whole, I guess I'll end on this. I mean, it is a team that is in a conference where so many great players left or graduated. Villanova lost a lot. Ryan Archidiakono, Daniel Ochefu. Xavier lost, I think, a lot more than we expected. I don't think many people saw Jalen Reynolds leaving. I don't think a lot of people anticipated what was going to happen with Miles Davis, J.P. McCura. Luckily, we'll be able to play for now with them as well. And Marquette lost a lot. Providence lost a lot. Seton Hall, out of the teams that lost a lot, gained the most, I think. And I feel like that's going to be a huge part of this season. They gained so much through recruiting. They gained a lot through transfers. And they gained a lot through experience that some of the other teams, frankly, just haven't gained. You thought Villanova was going to with that kid Amari Spellman. He's academically ineligible. That puts them down a peg in my mind. I feel like that could have been a real difference maker. Although you have to factor in Jalen Brunson's going to be a year older. Dante DiVincenzo's a guy we didn't see last year due to injury, so he's going to be a big part of that team as well. But I feel like you look at Seton Hall and you're thinking they lost Isaiah Whitehead, but they reloaded with some good talent. Aaron Gordon, Madison Jones, and Miles Powell bring things to the team that Seton Hall didn't have last year. I can fill in some holes and really make this a complete team.
All right.
Well,
thanks for coming on, Sean. We'll have to have you back on at some point during the regular season, I'm sure.
All right, Rob, Chris, thanks a lot, guys. Really appreciate it. I'll talk to you soon.
Yep.
Yeah, take care, man.
You too. Bye.
All right. Well, that was Sean.
Yep.
So that's cool.
Yep, thanks for him for coming on. While we were podcasting, some Big East news came across the wire. We may have a post about it soon. Bradley Hayes, the Georgetown center, according to John Thompson III, who was speaking to the media today, will miss the opening 4 games of this season due to eligibility issues. That includes the games against Maryland and Oregon, of course.
That's interesting because Bradley Hayes is like his 6th year in school.
Yeah.
I don't know what sort of classes he's even still taking, really. And I mean, I'm not trying to, put him down or anything. I truly don't. I mean, he's been at school forever.
I don't know how that happens. But
no, that's interesting.
And going nationally here, unfortunately, Ray Smith of Arizona tore his ACL, and he's apparently leaving basketball, which is very, very sad. So
terrible, man. He did last year too, and he was the crown jewel of that Arizona recruiting class last year.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll talk about this more on our national show, which will probably be next Thursday to get you ready for the season. But Arizona's going to be in some trouble this year.
Yeah.
And we'll get to that. But there's not really any talk about baseball portion of these podcasts anymore. I did change my shirt in the course of this podcast because I'm returning the long sleeve one, and I didn't want to get it dirty. Wearing the Nike Lovable Winners shirt now.
That's some that's a good shirt. Nike
also had a great commercial yesterday.
Oh my God, that commercial was amazing.
So
I loved that commercial.
It was good. We could do some wrestling at the Prudential Center, even though most of the wrestling in New Jersey in the last while has been at the Continental Airlines Arena, but that's not a thing anymore.
It's not. And I was at a wrestling event at the Prudential Center on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Pictures of some Big East banners.
Yeah. You're like me when I would take pictures of the DePaul banners all summer.
And additionally, Hell in a Cell 2009 was at Prudential Center. I was there as well. So.
I have seen the Prudential Center a few times. We passed on the train. Nice building, big building.
Yeah, it's not I don't think it's a terrible venue. I like it personally. The concourses are a little small, and there's some big escalators and whatnot, which I'm sure you would be such a huge fan of.
It's weird to me because hockey-only arenas seem to be much bigger than arenas that have basketball too, in terms of just like sheer size from the outside. Because Scottrade Center seems huge.
Yeah.
Prudential Center seems huge from the outside, and it might not be. I mean, I don't think it's any big. Obviously, it's not. They're not bringing in 30,000 people a game. It's still capacity 18 or whatever. But it's weird how that works. How they make it look.
Yeah. It definitely is, but not the richest of histories, but some recent stuff, if anything.
Yes. Actually, going back, if we can, to Russ's question about Central Connecticut, Danielle Marshall coaches them now, so anything's possible.
Yeah.
Danielle Marshall, actually, he was on the Bulls back when I had my Sega Dreamcast, and I would play the NBA 2K games with Allen Iverson on the cover. Those teams were really bad, and
yes.
The last 2K game, the first NBA Inside Drive game. I had most of the NBA games when the Bulls were really bad. So,
yeah, so did I.
Yeah, good times. What else? I think that might be about it. Like I said, there's no more baseball. The parade is tomorrow. If you're watching this and you want to go to the parade, I'm probably not gonna.
I'm kind of surprised that they're having such a quick turnaround.
Well, I was thinking about it. The Blackhawks turnarounds have always been 2 games. They're 2 days. I'm surprised how long it is. It's Wrigley to Grant Park, which is a hike.
Damn.
Yeah.
I guess they're kind of preparing since they know, majority of the city's probably going to be there.
Yeah, it's gonna be crazy.
Damn.
Yeah, we will be back tomorrow podcasting again. By the way, because
Yep, we will be.
time, so we're talking about Xavier tomorrow, and then talking about Villanova Monday or Tuesday, and then doing our national show with some guests, I would imagine, Pierce or Alex or what have you. And then season starts a week from tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. So we've got some more content coming your way.
And a million things coming your way.
Yep.
Get ready for it. So that's about it here.
It is.
Again, thanks to Sean for joining us. It was a little shorter today.
I feel like it was a little shorter, but I think we were very concise with it, and it was still very helpful. So.
When you don't have questions and you don't ramble about things, shortens up. Seton Hall game, not a Devils game. People don't go to those. And you want to know somewhere to eat in Newark, I can't help you. So, I've never actually been to Newark outside of Newark Penn Station.
I don't know if you're necessarily missing much, but Newark has some pizza.
If you do go to Newark Penn Station and it's in the afternoon, go downstairs. There's a lady who sells nuts and popcorn, cash only, but you can get a nice big bag of popcorn for $2. And it was a saving grace from Newark Airport to Bridgewater because I had nothing else to eat.
I smelled popcorn on my way down the other day, so I think they were still selling it.
Yeah, so get yourself down there. That's my Newark food tip for you.
Also, the top 3 places to eat in Newark per Yelp. There's a Spanish place.
Okay.
A Portuguese and Brazilian restaurant, and a breakfast and brunch. So,
okay.
And a supermarket down further. And in the top 10, there's a place called the Green Chickpea, which is Mediterranean, Middle Eastern.
Good stuff.
Can't really go wrong there. Yeah, the one place is called Casa de Paco. That's the best restaurant in Newark per Yelp. So
there you go.
Yeah, and if you ever go to New Jersey, get yourself some pork roll. You won't be disappointed. I promise.
Here. Like I said, Xavier podcast tomorrow might be a little earlier in the day.
It could be.
Definitely not before 1 o'clock Eastern because I do want to at least watch the parade. But we'll see. We'll tweet it out.
Yep.
So, for Chris, I'm Rob. Thank you for continuing to read Big East Coast Bias. We will see you tomorrow. Just close with this here.
Of course.